In a quiet corner of Los Angeles, tucked away in an unassuming strip mall, stood a small sushi restaurant named Sakura Breeze. The sign outside was hand-painted, slightly faded from years under the California sun, but it still carried a sense of warmth and care. Inside, the walls were adorned with simple wooden panels and paper lanterns that gave off a cozy glow. It wasn't fancy or flashy. It didn't need to be. This place was built on authenticity, love, and hard work. The heart behind Sakura Breeze belonged to Hiroshi Tanaka, a man who had left his hometown in Japan with dreams of sharing his family's culinary traditions with the world. 5 years ago, he and his wife Aiko pooled every penny they had saved to open this little restaurant. They wanted to create something special, a space where people could gather, enjoy delicious food, and feel connected to the rich heritage of Japanese cuisine. Their teenage daughter, Emmy, often pitched in after school, greeting customers with a shy smile and helping clear tables when things got busy. Hiroshi was a master at his craft. He spent hours each morning selecting the freshest fish from local markets, inspecting every piece carefully before bringing it back to his tiny kitchen. His hands moved with precision as he sliced delicate strips of tuna and salmon, arranging them into beautiful patterns atop beds of perfectly seasoned rice. Every dish he prepared told a story, not just about the ingredients themselves, but about the history and culture behind them. From the crisp crunch of tempura to the soft, buttery texture of nigiri, every bite was infused with passion and respect for tradition. But despite all of Hiroshi's dedication, running a small business wasn't easy. Rent prices in Los Angeles kept climbing higher, squeezing tighter margins each month. Big chain restaurants nearby offered cheaper meals, drawing crowds away from smaller independent spots like Sakura Breeze. On top of that, competition was fierce. There were dozens of other eateries vying for attention in the same neighborhood. No matter how much effort Hiroshi poured into perfecting his recipes, it felt like no one noticed. Aiko tried her best to keep spirits high. As the hostess, she greeted every customer with a warm smile, making sure everyone felt welcome. She took pride in creating a comfortable atmosphere, even if the chairs were a bit worn and the paint on the wall showed signs of age. Emmy did what she could to help, balancing her schoolwork with late-night shifts, washing dishes, and folding napkins. Together, the family worked tirelessly, determined not to let their dreams slip away. Still, there were days when doubt crept in. Some nights only 1 or 2 tables would be occupied, leaving Hiroshi wondering if anyone truly appreciated what he was trying to do. He'd watch couples laughing over bowls of ramen, or families sharing plates of sashimi, grateful for those moments, yet worried about the future. Would Sakura Breeze survive another year? Could they afford to fix the leaky faucet in the bathroom or replace the flickering light above the counter? These questions weighed heavily on him, though he rarely voiced them aloud. One particular Tuesday evening stood out among the rest. Business had been unusually slow, and Hiroshi found himself pacing between the kitchen and dining area, glancing hopefully toward the door whenever the bell above it jingled. By 7 p.m., only 2 tables remained occupied, one by a young couple celebrating an anniversary, the other by a lone businessman typing furiously on his laptop. Hiroshi sighed quietly, wiping down the already spotless countertops to pass the time. Just as he was about to retreat to the back room to start cleaning up, the door swung open again. In walked a man dressed casually in jeans, a black leather jacket, and sneakers. His hair was slightly disheveled, and he carried an air of confidence that made Hiroshi pause. There was something familiar about him, though Hiroshi couldn't quite place it. Pushing aside his curiosity, he stepped forward with a polite bow and greeted the newcomer warmly. "Welcome to Sakura Breeze," Hiroshi said, gesturing toward the nearly empty dining area. "Would you like a table?" The man nodded, choosing a seat near the window where soft light streamed in from the setting sun. Hiroshi handed him a menu, explaining some of the day's specials and recommending dishes that showcased his expertise. To his surprise, the man seemed genuinely interested, asking thoughtful questions about each item and its preparation. When the order finally came in, assorted rolls, sashimi, and nigiri, Hiroshi felt a spark of excitement. Here was someone who appreciated the artistry behind his work, someone willing to take the time to understand it. As Hiroshi prepared the meal, he couldn't shake the feeling that this night might be different. Little did he know the stranger sitting quietly in the corner was none other than Elon Musk, billionaire entrepreneur and visionary. Musk had chosen Sakura Breeze almost on a whim, drawn by its humble appearance and curious charm. What he didn't expect was to find such depth and craftsmanship in every bite of food placed before him. That single visit set off a chain of events neither Hiroshi nor Musk could have anticipated. For now, however, the evening unfolded simply. A chef pouring his heart into a meal, a customer savoring every flavor, and the faint hum of possibility lingering in the air. The man sitting by the window seemed ordinary at first glance, but there was something magnetic about him. As he flipped through the menu, Hiroshi couldn't help but notice how intently he studied each item. Most customers skimmed the options quickly, settling on familiar favorites like California rolls or spicy tuna. But this man wasn't rushing. He lingered over descriptions of dishes, his eyebrows furrowing slightly as if he were solving a puzzle. When Hiroshi approached to take the order, the man looked up and smiled. "This all sounds incredible," he said, his voice calm but curious. "Can you tell me more about these?" He pointed to a few items: salmon avocado rolls, grilled eel nigiri, and a chef's special sashimi platter. Hiroshi felt a flicker of pride. It wasn't often that someone showed such genuine interest in his work. "Of course," Hiroshi replied, leaning slightly forward. "The salmon avocado roll is one of our most popular dishes. The key is balance. The creaminess of the avocado complements the richness of the salmon, while the rice ties it all together." He paused, gesturing toward the kitchen. "And the grilled eel? That's my personal favorite. I marinate it in a sweet soy glaze for hours before grilling it just right. It has a smoky flavor that pairs beautifully with the soft texture." "Got a ring?" Man nodded thoughtfully, clearly intrigued. "What about the sashimi platter? How do you choose which fish to include?" Hiroshi beamed. This was his chance to share not just his skills, but his philosophy. "For the sashimi, I pick only the freshest cuts available that day. Sometimes it's tuna, sometimes yellowtail. It depends on what catches my eye at the market. Each piece is sliced thinly so the natural flavors shine through. Sashimi is all about simplicity and respect for the ingredient." By the time the conversation ended, the man had ordered nearly half the menu. Hiroshi returned to the kitchen, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. For weeks, he'd been grappling with self-doubt, wondering if anyone truly valued the effort he put into every dish. But here was someone who cared, not just about eating, but about understanding the story behind the food. As the plates began arriving at the table, one by one, the man savored each bite with evident delight. He took his time, closing his eyes, occasionally as if to fully absorb the experience. Between bites, he jotted down notes on his phone, occasionally glancing up to watch Hiroshi move gracefully between the kitchen and dining area. There was an ease about Hiroshi's movements, a quiet confidence that spoke volumes about years of practice and dedication. At one point, the man waved Hiroshi over. "This is extraordinary," he said, pointing to the grilled eel nigiri. "I've had sushi in some of the finest restaurants around the world, but this feels different. It's authentic, personal." Hiroshi chuckled nervously, scratching the back of his neck. "Thank you. That means a lot. I try to honor the traditions I learned from my father and grandfather. Food isn't just sustenance. It's a way of connecting people." The man nodded, his expression thoughtful. "You're doing something special here. Don't lose sight of that." After finishing his meal, the man reached for his wallet and left a generous tip, far more than Hiroshi expected. As he stood to leave, he turned back toward Hiroshi. "I'll be in touch," he said cryptically, offering a small smile before disappearing out the door. For the rest of the evening, Hiroshi replayed the encounter in his mind. Who was that man? Why had he taken such an interest in Sakura Breeze? And what did he mean by, "I'll be in touch"? Despite the mystery, Hiroshi felt a strange sense of hope. Maybe, just maybe, tonight marked the beginning of something new. The next morning, as Hiroshi arrived at the restaurant to prep for lunch service, Aiko greeted him with wide eyes. "You won't believe this," she said, holding up her phone. On the screen was an email addressed to Hiroshi Tanaka from someone claiming to represent Elon Musk. At first, Hiroshi laughed, assuming it was a prank. But as he read further, his laughter faded. The email referenced specific details from the previous night, the exact dishes the man had ordered, the questions he'd asked, even the compliment about the grilled eel. It wasn't a joke. This was real. The message went on to explain that Elon Musk had been genuinely impressed by Sakura Breeze and wanted to discuss potential opportunities to support the business. Hiroshi stared at the words, his heart racing. Could this really be happening? After months of struggling to keep the restaurant afloat, could this stranger, this billionaire, actually step in to help? Aiko urged him to respond, and after composing several drafts, Hiroshi finally sent off a cautious reply agreeing to meet later that week. In the days leading up to the meeting, the family buzzed with anticipation. Emmy scoured the internet for information about Musk, marveling at his achievements in technology and space exploration. Aiko cleaned the restaurant top to bottom, determined to make a good impression. And Hiroshi? He spent hours reflecting on what he might say, rehearsing answers to questions he imagined Musk might ask. Finally, the day of the meeting arrived. Hiroshi dressed in his best suit, a hand-me-down from Aiko's brother, and drove to the sleek office building where Musk's team awaited him. As he stepped inside, he felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. What could someone like Musk possibly want with a tiny sushi spot like Sakura Breeze? The room was bright and modern, filled with high-tech gadgets and polished surfaces. Musk himself greeted Hiroshi warmly, shaking his hand firmly. "I meant what I said last night," Musk began. "Your food tells a story, and I think the world needs to hear it." Over the course of the meeting, Musk laid out his vision. He proposed investing in Sakura Breeze, not just financially but strategically. He envisioned transforming the struggling local eatery into a global brand, preserving its authenticity while introducing it to new audiences worldwide. Musk suggested incorporating cutting-edge technologies, like AI-driven systems to manage inventory efficiently and reduce waste, as well as sustainable practices, such as sourcing seafood responsibly and installing solar panels to power the restaurant. Hiroshi listened intently, his mind racing. On one hand, the idea of scaling up and reaching a wider audience thrilled him. On the other hand, he worried about losing control over the soul of his restaurant. Would Sakura Breeze still feel like home if it became part of something bigger? Could they maintain the same level of care and attention to detail? Musk seemed to sense Hiroshi's hesitation. "I'm not here to change who you are or what makes your restaurant special," he assured him. "I want to amplify it, to show the world why places like Sakura Breeze matter." By the end of the meeting, Hiroshi felt torn, but hopeful. He thanked Musk for his generosity and promised to think it over. Driving home, he couldn't stop replaying the conversation in his head. Was this the lifeline Sakura Breeze needed, or was it too risky to trust their future to someone outside the family? Back at the restaurant, Aiko and Emmy waited anxiously for news. When Hiroshi walked through the door, they could see the weight of the decision written all over his face. Sitting down at one of the empty tables, he shared everything Musk had proposed. Together, the three of them debated late into the night, weighing the pros and cons. Ultimately, they realized they had little choice. Without drastic change, Sakura Breeze might not survive another year. If they wanted to preserve the legacy they'd worked so hard to build, they had to take a leap of faith. And so, with trembling hands, Hiroshi drafted a response to Musk's offer. Yes, they were ready to move forward. Little did they know, this decision would set off a chain reaction that would transform not only their lives but the entire trajectory of Sakura Breeze. The days following Hiroshi's decision to accept Elon Musk's offer were a whirlwind of emotions. On one hand, there was excitement, a spark of hope that had been missing for so long. On the other hand, uncertainty loomed large. Could they really trust this billionaire entrepreneur to understand the heart and soul of their little sushi restaurant? Would Sakura Breeze still feel like their place once all these changes took hold? Despite their doubts, the family knew they couldn't turn back now. This was their chance to save what they loved. Musk wasted no time putting his plan into motion. Within days, a team of designers, engineers, and business strategists arrived at Sakura Breeze. They came armed with blueprints, laptops, and an enthusiasm that bordered on overwhelming. At first, Hiroshi felt out of place amidst the flurry of activity. These people spoke in terms he barely understood, words like scalability, brand, equity, and consumer engagement. But Musk himself remained hands-on, often stopping by to check on progress and reassure Hiroshi that everything would stay true to the restaurant's roots. One of the first things the team tackled was the physical space. The worn-out furniture, faded decor, and leaky faucets that had plagued Sakura Breeze for years were replaced with sleek yet tasteful upgrades. The new design retained the cozy, traditional charm Hiroshi cherished, but added modern touches that made the restaurant feel fresh and inviting. Wooden beams were polished to a warm sheen, paper lanterns were swapped for energy-efficient LED versions, and even the floors were redone to create a smoother, cleaner look. Aiko marveled at how the transformation honored the past while embracing the future. But perhaps the most striking change came when solar panels were installed on the roof. Musk insisted on sustainability being at the core of Sakura Breeze's evolution. "If we're going to grow," he told Hiroshi during one visit, "we need to do it responsibly." The panels not only powered the restaurant, but also set an example for eco-friendly practices in the hospitality industry. Customers began noticing the subtle shift. The air conditioning ran more efficiently, lighting was softer yet brighter, and even the water taps seemed to flow with renewed vigor. It was as if the entire building had taken a deep breath and woken up. Meanwhile, Musk's team worked closely with Hiroshi to revamp the supply chain. For years, Hiroshi had relied on local markets to source his ingredients, which meant quality varied depending on availability. Now, partnerships were forged with sustainable fisheries and organic farms, ensuring consistent access to premium materials. Every fish delivered to Sakura Breeze was traceable. Hiroshi could tell you exactly where it came from, how it was caught, and whether its harvest adhered to ethical standards. This level of transparency wasn't just good for business. It aligned perfectly with Hiroshi's values of respect for nature and tradition. To help manage inventory more effectively, Musk introduced advanced software powered by artificial intelligence. At first, Hiroshi was skeptical. How could a machine possibly understand the nuances of running a kitchen? But the system proved surprisingly intuitive. It tracked usage patterns, predicted demand based on historical data, and even alerted Hiroshi when certain ingredients were nearing expiration. Waste plummeted almost overnight, saving both money and resources. More importantly, it freed up time for Hiroshi to focus on what he did best: crafting exquisite dishes. Emmy, who had grown up watching her father work tirelessly behind the counter, found herself drawn into the process too. She started helping with social media, creating content that showcased the restaurant's journey. Under Musk's guidance, she filmed short videos of Hiroshi preparing signature dishes, his steady hands slicing sashimi, his focused expression as he assembled intricate rolls. Each clip highlighted not just the food, but the stories behind it. One video showed Hiroshi explaining the significance of wasabi in Japanese cuisine. Another featured him reminiscing about learning to make tempura from his grandmother. These snippets resonated deeply with viewers, many of whom left comments praising the authenticity and care evident in every frame. Before long, Sakura Breeze began gaining attention online. Food bloggers and influencers started visiting, eager to experience the buzz firsthand. Word spread quickly and soon lines formed outside the restaurant, stretching down the block. People came not just for the food but for the story. The tale of a struggling family business transformed through innovation and determination. Hiroshi watched in awe as strangers walked in, already familiar with his name and his craft. He never imagined he'd see such a turnaround in his lifetime. Aiko noticed the change in her husband almost immediately. The weight that had settled on his shoulders for years seemed lighter now. His eyes sparkled again, the way they used to when they first opened Sakura Breeze. Even Emmy, usually reserved and quiet, blossomed under the spotlight. She thrived in her role as the restaurant's unofficial storyteller, connecting with customers and sharing the family's journey with anyone who asked. Still, challenges remained. As the restaurant grew busier, maintaining the same level of personal attention became harder. Hiroshi worried about losing the intimate connection he'd always shared with his patrons. Musk, sensing this concern, encouraged him to delegate tasks and train additional staff members. "You can't do everything yourself," Musk reminded him gently. "Your job is to inspire others to carry the torch." Reluctantly, Hiroshi agreed. He hired a small team of apprentices, young chefs eager to learn the art of sushi making. Teaching them wasn't easy. It required patience and countless hours of demonstration, but seeing their progress filled him with pride. Slowly but surely, Sakura Breeze evolved into something greater than just a restaurant. It became a community hub, a training ground, and a beacon of possibility. By the end of the first year, the transformation was undeniable. What had once been a struggling mom-and-pop shop was now a thriving establishment with a loyal following. Yet despite all the changes, the heart of Sakura Breeze remained intact. Hiroshi still greeted customers with a warm smile, still poured his love into every dish, and still carried the traditions of his ancestors with unwavering respect. Musk's influence had expanded the restaurant's reach, but it hadn't erased its soul. As Hiroshi reflected on how far they'd come, he realized something profound. Success wasn't about fame or fortune. It was about resilience, collaboration, and staying true to your values, even when faced with uncertainty. And though he owed much of this revival to Elon Musk, he knew the real magic lay in the bond between his family and the passion they shared for their craft. Little did Hiroshi know, however, that this was only the beginning. Musk had bigger plans in store, not just for Sakura Breeze, but for the global impact it could achieve. With the foundation of Sakura Breeze solidified and thriving locally, Elon Musk's vision for the restaurant began to take on a much grander scale. What started as a small investment to breathe life into a struggling family business evolved into something far more ambitious. A global expansion that would bring Hiroshi's authentic Japanese cuisine to cities around the world. For Hiroshi, this next chapter was both thrilling and daunting. He had always dreamed of sharing his culture with a wider audience, but he never imagined it happening like this, on such an enormous stage. Musk wasted no time laying the groundwork for international growth. His team identified key locations where Sakura Breeze could make its mark. Bustling metropolises known for their vibrant food scenes such as New York City, Tokyo, London, and Sydney. Each city presented unique challenges and opportunities, but Musk was determined to ensure that every branch maintained the same level of authenticity and care as the original. "We're not just opening restaurants," he told Hiroshi during one planning session. "We're creating experiences. Every location has to feel like home." The first step in this ambitious plan involved designing flagship stores that reflected the essence of Sakura Breeze while adapting to modern tastes. Architects and interior designers worked closely with Hiroshi to create spaces that blended traditional Japanese aesthetics with contemporary touches. Sliding shoji screens, tatami mats, and cherry blossom motifs were paired with minimalist furniture and high-tech amenities. Even the lighting was carefully curated to evoke the warm, inviting glow of the original restaurant. The result was a series of breathtaking interiors that felt both timeless and innovative. But building beautiful spaces wasn't enough. Musk knew that the heart of Sakura Breeze lay in the people who ran it, their dedication, skill, and passion for excellence. To preserve this spirit across multiple locations, Hiroshi embarked on a whirlwind tour of training sessions. Traveling from city to city, he personally mentored teams of chefs, teaching them not just how to prepare sushi but also why it mattered. He shared stories about his childhood in Japan, the lessons he learned from his father, and the importance of respecting ingredients and traditions. His hands-on approach left a lasting impression on everyone he met, inspiring them to uphold the same standards he had fought so hard to maintain. Hiroshi's travels weren't limited to training staff. As part of Musk's strategy to build a strong brand identity, Hiroshi became the face of Sakura Breeze worldwide. Documentaries chronicling his journey from immigrant entrepreneur to global restaurateur aired on major networks, drawing millions of viewers. In interviews, Hiroshi spoke candidly about the struggles he faced and the values that kept him going. His humility and authenticity resonated deeply with audiences, turning him into an unlikely celebrity. People admired not just his culinary expertise but also his resilience and commitment to preserving cultural heritage. Back home, Aiko and Emi continued managing daily operations at the original location, which remained the beating heart of the growing empire. Despite the rapid expansion, the family ensured that the Los Angeles restaurant stayed true to its roots. It remained a neighborhood favorite, welcoming regulars and newcomers alike with open arms. Customers marveled at how little had changed despite the restaurant's newfound fame. The same cozy atmosphere, friendly service, and mouth-watering dishes greeted them every time they walked through the door. For many, visiting the original Sakura Breeze felt like stepping back in time, a reminder of simpler days when everything revolved around family, food, and community. Meanwhile, Musk championed sustainability initiatives that set Sakura Breeze apart from other dining establishments. Solar panels, already installed at the flagship store, became standard features in all new locations. Waste reduction efforts extended beyond inventory management to include composting programs and partnerships with local charities to donate excess food. These eco-friendly practices earned Sakura Breeze accolades from environmental organizations and further cemented its reputation as a forward-thinking brand. As word spread about the restaurant's success, aspiring chefs from around the globe flocked to Sakura Breeze, eager to learn from Hiroshi and his team. Musk launched a formal apprenticeship program, offering intensive training courses that combined traditional techniques with cutting-edge culinary science. Graduates of the program went on to open their own restaurants or join existing ones, spreading Hiroshi's influence far and wide. Over time, Sakura Breeze became synonymous not just with exceptional sushi, but also with mentorship and innovation. Despite the whirlwind of activity, Hiroshi made sure to carve out moments of reflection. Late at night, after long days of travel and meetings, he often found himself thinking about the early days of Sakura Breeze. The quiet evenings spent worrying about bills, the joy of serving even a single satisfied customer, the sacrifices his family had made to keep the dream alive. Those memories grounded him, reminding him of how far they'd come and why they'd started this journey in the first place. One evening, during a rare break between trips, Hiroshi sat down with Aiko and Emi to discuss the future. "Do you think we're ready for this?" he asked, his voice tinged with both excitement and apprehension. "It's moving so fast," Aiko smiled reassuringly. "We've already proven we can handle anything life throws at us," she said. "And look at what we've built together. If anyone can do this, it's us." Emi nodded enthusiastically. "Dad, you've inspired so many people. This isn't just your story anymore, it's ours. And it's theirs too," she added, gesturing toward the photos hanging on the wall of customers who had become friends over the years. Her words struck a chord with Hiroshi. She was right. Sakura Breeze wasn't just a restaurant. It was a testament to perseverance, collaboration, and the power of staying true to oneself. With Musk's support and his family by his side, Hiroshi felt confident that they could navigate whatever lay ahead. As plans for additional locations continued to unfold, Hiroshi couldn't help but marvel at the ripple effect of that fateful night when Elon Musk walked into his restaurant. What began as a simple meal had sparked a chain reaction, transforming not only their lives but also the lives of countless others. Sakura Breeze was no longer just a struggling mom-and-pop shop. It was a symbol of hope, possibility, and the enduring magic of sharing good food with the world. Little did Hiroshi know, however, that the greatest test of all was yet to come. Balancing tradition with innovation, maintaining quality on a global scale, and ensuring that every customer felt the same warmth and connection as they did in Los Angeles would require every ounce of creativity and determination he possessed. But if there was one thing Hiroshi Tanaka had learned over the years, it was that challenges were simply opportunities waiting to be embraced. As Sakura Breeze expanded into new cities around the world, Hiroshi Tanaka found himself navigating uncharted territory. The restaurant's global presence brought with it a wave of opportunities and challenges that tested his resolve, creativity, and leadership in ways he never anticipated. While the dream of sharing his family's culinary traditions with a wider audience was becoming a reality, maintaining the authenticity and soul of Sakura Breeze across continents proved to be no small feat. Each flagship location opened to much fanfare, drawing crowds eager to experience the magic that had made the original restaurant so special. In New York City, customers lined up for hours outside the sleek, glass-walled storefront in Soho. In Tokyo, locals marveled at how Hiroshi's interpretation of traditional dishes felt both familiar and refreshingly modern. Londoners praised the delicate balance of flavors, while Sydneysiders raved about the ocean-fresh seafood. Everywhere they went, people embraced Sakura Breeze not just as a place to eat, but as a cultural touchstone, a celebration of Japanese heritage infused with universal appeal. But success on this scale came with its own set of complications. For one, consistency became a major concern. How could Hiroshi ensure that every plate served in Sydney tasted exactly like the ones prepared in Los Angeles? It wasn't just about following recipes. It was about capturing the spirit of his cooking, the subtle nuances that couldn't be written down or programmed into machines. To address this, Hiroshi implemented rigorous training programs for chefs at each location. He flew back and forth between cities, conducting hands-on workshops and taste tests until he was satisfied that every team member understood his vision. Even with meticulous training, managing operations remotely posed another challenge. Back in Los Angeles, Hiroshi had been able to oversee every aspect of the restaurant personally, from selecting ingredients to greeting customers. Now, with multiple locations spread across time zones, he relied heavily on technology to stay connected. Video calls allowed him to check in with head chefs daily, while real-time analytics provided insights into sales patterns, customer feedback, and inventory levels. Musk's AI-driven systems played a crucial role here, helping streamline communication and decision-making without compromising quality. Despite these advancements, Hiroshi knew that technology alone couldn't replicate the personal connection he cherished. Food is more than sustenance, he often reminded his staff. It's emotion, it's memory. You can't automate kindness. So he encouraged employees at every level to prioritize relationships with customers, urging them to learn names, remember preferences, and create moments of joy whenever possible. This philosophy quickly became a hallmark of the Sakura Breeze brand, earning loyal patrons wherever the restaurants opened. Another hurdle arose when critics began scrutinizing the chain's rapid growth. Some accused Hiroshi and Musk of selling out, arguing that scaling up inevitably diluted the authenticity of the dining experience. Bloggers wrote scathing articles questioning whether Sakura Breeze could truly claim to honor tradition while embracing corporate expansion. These accusations stung, especially since Hiroshi had worked tirelessly to preserve the integrity of his craft. But instead of lashing out, he chose to let the food speak for itself. To combat skepticism, Hiroshi doubled down on transparency. He invited journalists, influencers, and even random customers to tour the kitchens, meet the chefs, and witness firsthand the care that went into every dish. Social media campaigns showcased behind-the-scenes footage of Hiroshi visiting local markets, interacting with fishermen, and teaching apprentices. Aiko and Emi joined in too, sharing stories about their family's journey and the sacrifices they'd made along the way. Slowly but surely, public perception shifted. People began to see that Sakura Breeze wasn't just chasing profit. It was building bridges between cultures, communities, and generations. Back home in Los Angeles, life at the original restaurant remained unchanged, or as close to unchanged as possible under the circumstances. Aiko continued hosting guests with her trademark warmth, ensuring everyone left feeling valued and cared for. Emi balanced her responsibilities at the restaurant with college courses, studying business management so she could contribute more effectively to the family enterprise. Together, they kept the original location grounded, serving as a constant reminder of where it all began. The turning point came during Sakura Breeze's 5th anniversary celebration. By then, the chain boasted over a dozen locations worldwide, employing thousands of people and generating millions in revenue. Yet Hiroshi insisted on hosting the main event at the original restaurant, inviting staff, friends, and loyal customers from near and far. The evening was filled with laughter, tears, and heartfelt speeches. Musk attended as well, taking a rare moment away from his busy schedule to honor the man whose vision had inspired him. Standing before the crowd, Hiroshi reflected on the incredible journey they'd undertaken together. "When we started Sakura Breeze, I never imagined it would grow beyond our little corner of Los Angeles," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "But what makes me proudest isn't the number of restaurants we've opened or the awards we've won. It's knowing that we've stayed true to who we are, to the values my parents taught me and the dreams we dared to chase." His words resonated deeply, earning a standing ovation from everyone present. That night, surrounded by loved ones and supporters, Hiroshi realized something profound. Success wasn't measured by size or scale. It was measured by impact, the lives touched, the connections forged, and the legacy left behind. And by that standard, Sakura Breeze had already achieved far more than he ever dreamed possible. Still, there were lessons to be learned and improvements to be made. As the chain continued to grow, Hiroshi faced new questions about sustainability, equity, and inclusivity. How could they reduce their carbon footprint further? Could they partner with organizations to support underserved communities? Was there a way to make fine dining accessible to those who couldn't afford it? These issues weighed heavily on his mind, pushing him to think bigger and bolder than ever before. Through it all, Hiroshi leaned on the support of his family, his team, and, perhaps surprisingly, Elon Musk. Despite their vastly different backgrounds, the two men had formed an unlikely friendship built on mutual respect and shared ambition. Musk admired Hiroshi's dedication to craftsmanship and culture, while Hiroshi appreciated Musk's willingness to take risks and challenge conventional thinking. Together, they proved that innovation and tradition weren't mutually exclusive. They could coexist harmoniously if approached with care and intention. By the end of the 5th year, Sakura Breeze had cemented its place as a global phenomenon. Yet Hiroshi knew the work was far from over. There were still untapped markets to explore, new technologies to adopt, and countless stories waiting to be told. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of quiet gratitude. Looking out at the bustling dining room, he smiled softly, savoring the hum of conversation, the clink of chopsticks against plates, and the aroma of freshly prepared sushi wafting through the air. No matter how big Sakura Breeze grew, the simple joy of sharing good food with good people, would always remain at its core. Years had passed since that fateful evening when Elon Musk walked into Sakura Breeze, and the world was a different place because of it. Hiroshi Tanaka stood outside the original Los Angeles location one crisp morning, watching as sunlight streamed through the cherry blossom trees planted along the sidewalk, a gift from Musk to commemorate their partnership. The restaurant's sign, once faded and weathered, now gleamed brightly, its hand-painted characters symbolizing resilience and hope. It wasn't just a business anymore, it was a legacy. Sakura Breeze had grown beyond anything Hiroshi could have imagined. With dozens of locations spanning 6 continents, the chain had become synonymous with excellence, not just in food but in values like sustainability, community, and cultural preservation. Each restaurant told the same story, of a family who dared to dream big, of traditions passed down through generations, and of a man named Elon Musk who believed in their potential. Customers didn't just come for sushi. They came for the experience, the connection, and the promise of something authentic in an increasingly fast-paced world. Hiroshi often thought about how far they'd come. From struggling to pay rent to managing a global empire, every step of the journey had been marked by hard work, collaboration, and a refusal to compromise on what mattered most. He remembered the late nights spent perfecting recipes, the early mornings at fish markets, and the countless hours training chefs across the globe. But more than anything, he remembered the people, the loyal customers who supported them during tough times, the employees who poured their hearts into their work, and his own family, who never gave up on him. Aiko, now retired from day-to-day operations, spent her days volunteering at local schools, teaching children about Japanese culture through cooking classes. Her warmth and generosity touched lives far beyond the restaurant walls. Emmy, having graduated top of her class in business management, took on a leadership role within Sakura Breeze, spearheading initiatives to expand the brand's social impact. She launched programs aimed at reducing food waste, supporting underserved communities, and promoting diversity in the hospitality industry. Under her guidance, Sakura Breeze became not only a leader in fine dining but also a champion of positive change. As for Hiroshi, he continued to travel the world, visiting each location to ensure it lived up to the standards he'd set decades ago. But these trips weren't just about oversight. They were opportunities to connect with people, share stories, and inspire others to pursue their passions. Whether mentoring young chefs or speaking at international conferences, Hiroshi carried himself with humility and grace, always reminding audiences that success is meaningless without purpose. Elon Musk, too, looked back fondly on his involvement with Sakura Breeze. While his name was associated with groundbreaking achievements in space exploration and technology, this project held a special place in his heart. "It's easy to focus on rockets and robots," he once said during an interview, "but real innovation happens when we improve everyday life, for ourselves and for future generations." By helping transform a small sushi shop into a global force for good, Musk proved that even the simplest ideas could yield extraordinary results. The ripple effects of Sakura Breeze extended far beyond its restaurants. Its commitment to sustainability inspired other businesses to adopt eco-friendly practices, from sourcing ingredients responsibly to investing in renewable energy. The apprenticeship program, which started as a way to train chefs, evolved into a full-fledged culinary institute offering scholarships to aspiring cooks from underprivileged backgrounds. Graduates went on to open their own restaurants, creating jobs and revitalizing neighborhoods in the process. Back in Los Angeles, the original Sakura Breeze remained a cherished landmark. Locals still gathered there for birthdays, anniversaries, and casual dinners, finding comfort in familiar faces and flavors. Tourists made pilgrimages to see where it all began, snapping photos of the wooden beams, paper lanterns, and smiling staff members who greeted them like old friends. For many, stepping inside felt like entering a time capsule, a reminder of simpler days when everything revolved around family, food, and community. One afternoon, as Hiroshi prepared to close the restaurant after a busy lunch service, a young couple approached him. They introduced themselves as fans of his work, explaining how they'd traveled from Chicago specifically to visit the original location. The woman handed him a small notebook filled with sketches of sushi rolls and handwritten notes about flavor, combinations she hoped to try someday. "We're saving up to open our own restaurant," she said shyly. "Your story gives us hope." Hiroshi smiled, remembering the countless times he'd stood in similar shoes, dreaming big despite overwhelming odds. He invited them to stay a while, sharing tips and stories over cups of green tea. As they talked, he realized that this was what truly mattered, inspiring others to chase their dreams no matter how impossible they seemed. That night, as Hiroshi locked up the restaurant and walked home beneath the stars, he reflected on the meaning of success. Money and fame were fleeting, but the connections forged through kindness, creativity, and shared experiences lasted forever. Sakura Breeze wasn't just a restaurant. It was proof that even the smallest acts of courage could spark monumental change. In the years that followed, Hiroshi continued to innovate, experimenting with new dishes while honoring timeless traditions. Aiko published a cookbook featuring family recipes, donating proceeds to charity. Emmy expanded the brand into uncharted territories, opening pop-up events and virtual cooking classes that reached millions online. Together, they ensured that Sakura Breeze remained relevant, impactful, and true to its roots. And then there was Musk, whose vision had ignited the entire journey. Though their paths diverged as schedules demanded, he and Hiroshi stayed in touch, occasionally meeting to discuss new ideas or simply catch up over bowls of ramen. Their unlikely friendship served as a testament to the power of collaboration, how two people from vastly different worlds could come together to create something greater than the sum of its parts. Decades later, when historians wrote about the early 21st century, they included Sakura Breeze among the era's defining achievements, not because of its size or wealth, but because of what it represented: a belief in humanity's ability to adapt, grow, and thrive while staying grounded in values that transcend borders and generations. For Hiroshi, the final measure of success lay not in accolades or profits, but in the lives touched along the way. As he sat on his porch one evening, surrounded by grandchildren eager to hear stories of his adventures, he felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. His dream hadn't just survived, it had flourished, branching out like the cherry blossoms that adorned the restaurant's entrance. And so, the story of Sakura Breeze came full circle. What began as a humble family business had transformed into a beacon of hope, proving that authenticity, perseverance, and a little bit of magic could overcome any obstacle. One perfect piece of sushi at a time, Hiroshi Tanaka had changed the world, and he couldn't wait to see what the next generation would do next.